What's up guys, Ryan here from Mud Gunner. Today I'm going to show you guys how to zero your rifle. So I have a couple ARs out here that I need to zero. This one just has iron sights. This is a BCM. I'm building this into my terminalist rifle. I'm trying to get an aim point and magnifier for it at some point, but as of right now we just have Magpul Gen 2 flip-up sights. And then I also have this build. This is a BCM lower with a tri-arc upper. So we got Magpul MBUS Pro flip-up sights and a Trijicon MRO. So we're going to start by zeroing the iron sights and then the red dot. And I'm going to show you guys how to do it. If you follow me, we have a target out here. So we have two paper targets out here at 25 yards from the table. Doesn't matter what distance you choose, you can use this for anything, but I choose 25 yards, and then I use these paper targets from Arma Dynamics. These are 100-yard zero targets. So basically, I'm gonna be aiming for this red and green bullseye right here, but I'm gonna make it so my impact is right there. So I aim here, but I hit right there, and this zeroes my gun for 100 yards with a red dot. So just pay attention to the target. They do have other options too for like 50-yard zeros, I think 36, but you can use whatever zero target, but I'm gonna aim here. I'm gonna fire groups of 2 or 3 rounds and show you guys how to do this pretty quickly. It's not too bad. As you can tell, it's a little windy, but the targets aren't moving too much. So I have 2 paper targets set up here. Probably need to tape this one a little better. And yeah, we'll get these guns zeroed today. Before I start shooting, I'm gonna show you guys how I'm doing this. So this is not a very scientific way of doing it. I have my no problema chair here. I got my range bag, and I'm basically just gonna be sitting like this. Now, I don't think you need the most pristine environment to zero your gun in. It's good to learn how to zero it kind of on the fly when you're out. Now, we did use a rangefinder to set up the targets at 25 yards, but aside from that, I don't need a fancy bench or shooting rest to do it. That could help you out, but I think learning it this way and learning how to zero iron sights is important. Now with this front sight, you do need a tool. So I have my tool here to adjust the front. And rear sight, I don't, you have the dial. And these are polymer flip-up sights. I prefer the steel, but for the terminalist build, I needed polymers. But on this gun, we have the steel Magpul flip-up sights, so you don't need any tool to adjust it. You can just turn the dial, and then zeroing the red dot is easy too. So I'll show you guys that, but we're gonna start with the iron sights. I'll actually take the red dot off before I zero it. So I'll show you guys how to zero the iron sights and then the red dot. But we're gonna start with the BCM gun here. So I'm gonna get some mags loaded up. The ammo that I'm using to zero, so I use 62 grain green tip ammo. This is just what I have the most of in my collection, so I zero it with this, but I also confirm zero with 55 grain full metal jackets. And I save those targets so that, you know, if time goes by, I still remember that it's zeroed at the distance, the date, and all that stuff, because I have a lot of guns. So it's just nice to have like basically a book with all my zeros for all my guns, because I have a few rifles. So this makes it easier, and I think it's good to kind of keep the record of it for you, and if you get more guns, it'll make it easier down the road. So let's get into it. All right, so I got 20 rounds loaded up. Again, I'm using green tip ammo. I realize this might be for some beginners. So green tip ammo is the 62 grain steel core ammo. I would say it's not probably the greatest range round, because you don't want to shoot steel with this because it'll damage the steel. 55 grain full metal jackets is the most common round out there, but I just have a lot of this. That's why I'm zeroing it. But I like to know how it shoots with both, because it's going to be slightly off if I zero with this and then shoot that. So it's good for me to know. And then as far as the tool, so when you buy iron sights, some of them require a tool to adjust. Magpul sights normally come with a tool to adjust them. I don't have a Magpul one today, I have this one. But basically, you're going to press this down and you're going to rotate it to zero your gun. Now, it doesn't tell me which way is up or down. The Magpul branded one will tell you, but normally it's turning it to the right, we'll move it up, turning it to the left, we'll move it down. And if I'm wrong, then we'll find out while we're zeroing. But I should be able to do this in less than a mag. I don't see it taking longer than a mag unless they're extremely far off. So yeah, we got the sights up, and as far as what you need to adjust it, besides that, like again, this one has just this rear dial right here that you can turn. But having one of these basic screwdriver sets, this is a Wheeler one, is also good to have on the range. I also keep coins in there, because this, since it's rounded, I don't want to mar it up with a screwdriver, so I just use coins to adjust those. But we'll get to that one next. We're going to start with this BCM right here. So I'm going to get my eyes and ears on, and we'll start shooting. All right, so I'm all set up. Another thing that would be helpful is I have some binoculars, and these are, when you shoot 5.56, it's a 22 hole. So even at 25 yards, it's hard to see the hole. So I just use binoculars to kind of see where I'm hitting. And then I'll go walk down there and mark off the shots with a Sharpie. That way I can get it done more efficiently. If you don't have binoculars, you might just have to walk down range, because if your eyes are better than mine, I can't see the hole very good at 25 yards. But all right, we're gonna fire 2 shots. and I'm gonna just see where I'm at. So you want a sturdy base, and I don't have much to like put my arm on, so I just kind of have to hold this firm. And one thing that you'll see a lot of precision shooters do is they'll keep their thumb on this side, they're not wrapping around, because your goal is just to pull straight back as smooth as you can so the gun's not moving at all as you fire it. Because you want to build a good support for when you're shooting so you're accurate on paper. So I'm going to fire 2 shots. Did it hit you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. The brass hit her. I'm sorry. Okay, so I fired 2 shots. And as far as lining up your iron sights, I basically put the bullseye on top of my front sight post, just barely on top. So it looks like a lollipop. And as long as you line them up consistently every time, if you zero it a slightly different way where you put the front sight post on top of it and just so where you're hitting below it, that's fine too. But I'd say the way I do it is I just put the bullseye on top of this. So when you're looking down the sights, it kind of looks like a lollipop. I'm gonna see where those 2 rounds hit, and let's see. Okay, so those 2 rounds were pretty far low and to the right, and I would say probably about 2 inches apart. And 2-inch group is not the greatest, but I can tighten that up. So that's just gonna be better trigger control. So we're gonna go down there and I'm gonna show you guys how these targets adjust real fast. All right, so these are my first 2 shots. I'm gonna mark them off. So 1 and 1. And these numbers on the side tell you how many clicks you're supposed to move up if you're using a red dot. With iron sights, it's gonna be slightly different. But again, we're trying to hit right here. So I'm gonna cut it in the middle. So I'm gonna need to move about, I'm gonna do like 15 since these are iron sights. And again, this doesn't tell me which way is up or down. So I wanna say right should be up. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna do 10 because these adjustments are for red dots. So calibrated for half MOA adjustments per click on red dots. And then—
Wait, but how do you know that you're moving this one? Like, does it click or something?
So there's little notches in here, so it gets caught in the notch. I'll move it up 1 more, so 11 up. So when I put this in, I press and I move it, and that moved it up a notch or down. Again, this doesn't say that. If you had the Magpul tool, it tells you which way is up or down. This does not. I'm just guessing basically. But now we need to move it to the left. So if we had a red dot, it'd be about 12 to the left, but we have iron sights. This tells you to the right is, what is this? Clockwise. So to move where you're impacting to the right, you'd move it clockwise, but I need to go to the left, so we're gonna go counterclockwise. So I'm gonna count out like 8 clicks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's little notches that you can feel. Some have more audible clicks, like the steel sights we're gonna zero have audible clicks, but now we moved it 8 to the left and 11 up, and that should at least get us closer, and then I'll try to get my group a little bit tighter. But again, iron sights at 25 yards, it's covering this whole target basically, and there's a little bit of shade. So my front sight post looks like this. It looks like a lollipop. It's right below it, so I'm aiming there, but we're gonna hit here. All right, so we're gonna shoot 2 more rounds. We should be closer at least. Hopefully I didn't go too far. No. Didn't know what that was. All right, I'm gonna take a look through my binoculars. I think they're right next to each other, but let's go take a look. So I have the binoculars. This helps me if I'm close, but showing you guys how we're doing it, I want you to see what types of adjustments we're doing. All right, so you see those 2 rounds were a lot closer. I think I went just a little too high, and so again, this was 11 clicks, so that's kind of crazy. But yeah, a little too high, but that was a way better group. So we're gonna move it. So I moved it 8 clicks left. So honestly, I'm gonna go another 8 clicks left, and then I'm gonna go like 2 clicks down. So this was group 2. And I like to write like my progress. So 1, 2, hopefully 3 is right there. And I mean, if we can get this zeroed in a little bit of rounds, that's not bad. And if you're wondering why this sticker's here, this is so I can shoot that 55 grain ammo next. That way, because I'm aiming here, but when I shoot the 55 grain ammo, I'm gonna aim there and it should hit right about here. So what do we need to do? I'm gonna go 2 clicks down. So I had a feeling right was up, so now I'm gonna go left. So there's the notch right here. I'm gonna press this in. So press it in. Now we're gonna go left 2. So that's 1, 2. It's locked in place.
And why are you doing that? What does that do to the target?
That should bring this down. So, yeah, I'm only gonna go 1. Well, no, I'm gonna stick with this. I'm gonna go 2 down, and I'm gonna go 8 left. So right here, I'm gonna go left. So again, right is gonna go that way, left is gonna go that way. Just pay attention to the arrows. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because again, I went 8 left between this one and that one, but that did not move it that much. But I don't need it to go crazy far for that. So, all right, let's go. So that's only 4 rounds in. And another thing, if you're not on paper at 25 yards, bring it closer, because you should, I mean, most guns should be on paper at 25 yards, but you see I have this 8.5 by 11 on a bigger target. So hopefully at 25 yards, you're at least somewhere on here. If you're not on here, there's bigger problems. Either your optic's not on right or it's terribly off. So yeah, if you're not on paper at 25 yards, then bring the target closer till you're on paper and then push it out. All right, so we're gonna fire next 2 rounds, nice and controlled. All right, I'm gonna look through my binoculars real fast. They're closer, they're just above it. So those were just to the left of the line in the middle, and they're just slightly above. 1 click right and 1 click down, and that should be about there. So 1 click right, and then 1 click down. So that's to the left on this. And I'm gonna fire 2 more shots. And one thing with this, you need the gun as steady as possible. If you're crooked, obviously you're gonna be sighting it in crooked, so try to stay as steady as possible. But this is another thing. I think it's good to learn how to do this without all the fancy tools, without like a proper rest. Again, those will help, but if you can learn how to stay steady on this, it'll make you a better shooter in the long run. So 2 more shots. We're gonna go look. So I got my gun on safe. All right guys, so this is what I would say is good. So that 3rd group was right here. So this was my 3rd group, and then I moved 1 click down and 1 click right, and this was my 4th group. So you see my 1st group, it's okay if you're not the greatest on your first, as long as you can see that and, you know, tighten it up. So group 2, group 3, group 4, I would say that's good enough. If you're in this circle, that's good enough. Now we're gonna shoot it at 100 yards just to verify, because I do have a steel target out there at 100 yards, because this should be zeroed for 100. So at 100, you aim center mass. You don't aim here expecting to hit here at 100. You aim here and you would hit here at 100. And then after we shoot 100 with that ammo, we're gonna shoot the 55 grain at this. You see, that took 8 rounds to zero set of iron sights, just polymer $80 sights. So only 8 rounds. And then you can use, if you bought a 20-round box of ammo, you can use the other 12 rounds to have some fun or just verify at different distances. So again, you don't need much, just focus, take your time on the trigger control. And yeah, my eyes aren't good. I could barely see the target at 25, so I just barely put that bullseye on the front sight post. All right, so we're gonna shoot 100. Again, this is just a stock BCM. It's a brand new gun. I would expect nothing less than it because BCMs are a little pricey, but you see, it's an accurate gun. This is just their mil-spec trigger. It's not anything fancy. I think it's like a 6 or 7 pound trigger, and we're just using iron sights. So I'm gonna shoot 2 rounds at the steel. Again, this is 62 grain green tip, so that's gonna put some holes in the steel a little bit more than other ones. So I wouldn't shoot that close, but the steel that I have out there, I've already shot with green tip before, so 2 more rounds isn't gonna kill it. But yeah, we should be zeroed at 100 perfectly, so I'm gonna just aim center mass. Are you good? Mm-hmm. Cool. Hit, hit. So there we go. We're only 10 rounds into the gun. And now we can verify with some 55 grain ammo. So this is American Eagle 55 grain. We were using the Lake City 62 grain.
Why does it matter with different ammos?
So 55 grain and 62 grain, since they're slightly different in weight, they're gonna have different effects or, you know, accuracy. So this gun is now zeroed for that. But shooting this, it might make it off by a little bit. So it's more just testing. It may not be super far off. As long as it's not super far off, it doesn't matter. But I'm gonna keep it zeroed to the green tip ammo. I just like to have documentation of how it shoots with both. Because I stock up on a lot of either Federal or American Eagle 55 grain ammo and the Lake City 62 grain. So I'm gonna shoot 2 rounds at the 100 yards just to see if it hits, and then we'll shoot the paper. But at 100 yards, this should hit, even though it's 55 grain ammo. So same thing, 100 yards, 2 hits. Hit, hit. Now at this distance, we could shoot the one that's at like 30, 40-ish yards because it's 55 grain ammo. There, see, it's accurate. Now I'm gonna shoot 2 rounds on that orange that I put on the paper. I can barely see that orange, it's so tiny. All right, we'll go take a look. Gun's unsafe. I can tell that it didn't feel as solid of a shot, but it's still close enough because if you think about it, it should have been hitting right about here, but I'm just slightly off. I'm not gonna adjust my zero because you see how it worked with the 62 grain ammo, but we'll just put this, and then I like to mark them 55 grain. And I'll also put the date, which it's the 10th. .62 grain green tip, and then the gun BCM Recce 14, and then if time matters, it's 11:20.
Why not?
Why not? It's more information. It's probably like 60 degrees outside, but yeah. And I would say this gun is now zeroed. If I throw a red dot on there, I could just zero the red dot to the gun without even shooting it, and it'll be mostly accurate. So now I'm gonna zero the other gun on this paper, and I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna zero the iron sights, and I'm not gonna show you guys that because we just did that, but then I'm gonna show you how to zero the red dot to the iron sights. So before I zero these iron sights, I'm gonna take this red dot off because none of these are zeroed, and I'm gonna show you guys that we can zero the iron sights, and then we can zero the red dot to the sights without even shooting it, and it'll be mostly accurate. You still wanna verify on paper, but it's gonna be mostly accurate. So I'm gonna get these iron sights zeroed in real fast, and then we'll put this back on. And it's the same concept. This one, I just don't need a front sight tool. I have a dial here that I turn to lift it up or down. All right, so this doesn't happen very often, but I'm pretty sure those sights are already zeroed. To be honest, so they're for 100% secondhand sights, but I don't remember if I pulled these off another gun or not. But okay, so I couldn't see this one from back there. I saw that one. So when you have an instance like this where you're on target right there and that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot 2 more rounds and see where those 2 rounds are. I should have brought the Sharpie out here to mark these, but we got one right there, one right there. I'm gonna shoot 2 more rounds and see where that group is. But I honestly thought they were both like right there. That's happened before where you just put it on and it's already zeroed, but I don't remember if I had those sights on another gun. They were in my gun drawer. Oh, where are you gonna mark it? Wow. So we'll mark those. So I marked those with a 1. These next 2 rounds I'm gonna fire, I'm also gonna mark with a 1 because I'm not adjusting it yet. We're just gonna see if I shoot better. All right, so that was rounds 2 and 3. But again, I'm gonna mark them with a 1 because I did not adjust it. But this kind of shows the more true pattern, so that would have been a flyer. I'm not gonna move it left or right at all. I'm gonna move it like 5 notches up. I said I wasn't gonna show you guys zeroing this rifle. I'm not showing you me shooting it, but. All right, so I moved 5 notches from right here. So 5 up put me right there. That was 2 rounds. And then I came down 2. And I think this kind of shows that I may have had the gun slightly angled because now this is 2 rounds right here. But I'm gonna call that good. So that was 3 and 3. So this is a round stacked on one of those first rounds. But because everything was good as far as windage goes, except for that third group, but that could have just been me aiming too far to the right, or I had the gun canted just slightly. But I'm gonna call that good. But we're gonna shoot with the red dot now. I'm gonna get the red dot zeroed to the iron sights. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on there and I'm gonna line it up to where the red dot is aiming right here and so are the iron sights, and then we'll shoot it and it should be pretty accurate. All right, so now I'm gonna put the red dot on. I'm using a Trijicon MRO. These are very good. Anything Trijicon, Aimpoint, EOTech, that's my favorite optics to choose. But if you're not able to afford an optic like that, I'd say Holosun makes a good one. I like their 403B. It's their just button powered red dot. I don't care for the solar powered as much, or like a Vortex Spark red dot. Those are in the $200-ish range. But yeah, I'm using a Trijicon MRO. And with red dots, it doesn't necessarily matter where you put it. I would just say make sure it's on the upper receiver, not your rail, because your rail, if anything's gonna move, it'll be your rail, not your upper. So I put it kind of where it looks good on here, which on this, I'd say right here looks about good. Let me see. Gotta think for those Instagram pictures. Actually, I'm gonna put it right over this notch. No, yeah, right there. I think right there looks good. If I don't like it, I can move it later. But yeah, red dots, as long as they're on the upper receiver, doesn't matter. There's no eye relief. It can be all the way on the front of the rail and you're still gonna see it. And then I don't have a torque wrench here, but I just hand tighten this and then just a little bit more crank. And that's it. And I shouldn't have any issues. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move these until it lines up with my iron sights. And it's basically gonna be at the tip of my front sight, but it's gonna be slightly lower because the round's gonna hit just above it on top. So if that sounds weird, it's just think about it like make the lollipop, but then bring it down just a little bit because that's where your round's gonna impact. All right, so now I'm gonna adjust the red dot to match the iron sights. And it is pretty far off in there. So you guys can just kind of watch my adjustments. You're not gonna be able to see through it, but I have to move this a lot. And I'm using a dime because it's gonna fall into this groove pretty easily. Actually, yeah, there we go. So when I do this, I want to like line it up on the paper because that's the 25 yards. So if I put it like out on the mountain, it's going to be off because it needs to be in the same position. All right, so we're close.
So which ones are you using?
What was that?
Where are you using? You're using.
So this adjusts your up and down and this adjusts your left and right. And it's pretty clear on an optic. So if you move it up, you got to move it counterclockwise. If you move it down, you got to move it clockwise. And then right, same thing. But now that I have this mostly aligned with the sights, I'm gonna flip them down so I'm not using the sights as my aiming. I need to make sure I'm focused on the red dot. So I'm gonna aim at that orange sticker that I have on the paper. And all the shooting I've done in 18 rounds. So I've zeroed 2 sets of iron sights on 2 different rifles with just 18 rounds of 5.56. So I got 2 rounds left. And I mean, I have more, but that's not bad on zeroing a gun. And when looking through this, you don't want it on the brightest setting. It's gonna cover the bullseye the most. So I want it on the lowest setting that I could still see it. And I'm gonna put it right on that bullseye and we'll see where we're at. I feel like I pulled that round, but that's my fault. All right, so we're empty. Let's go take a look. But I do feel like I pulled that first round, so that may not be accurate. If I pulled any, I have a feeling it was probably this one. So even though I felt like my eyes lined them up to the iron sights, it's still a little bit of ways. So we're gonna do 1 and a 1. Now these adjustments should work for the up and down, but they're not gonna work for the left and right because I'm trying to get to this line, not that line. So as far as the up and down goes, let's say I'm going off this one, I'm gonna move it 12 clicks up. And then I'm gonna move it, a box is about 4. So I'm gonna move it 12 clicks up and 4 clicks left. And my goal is to hit right here, because that would be the equivalent of there, but I'm aiming at this one. So 12 clicks up, 4 clicks left. All right, so the adjustments on here, there are audible clicks. You may not be able to hear them on the mic, but I can feel them and I can hear them, so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna bring it closer so you can hear. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12 clicks up, and we're gonna go 4 clicks left. So 4 clicks left. Not much, but that makes a big adjustment on paper. And I gotta load up a couple more rounds. So again, it doesn't take much rounds to zero your gun, just a little bit of patience. Where'd my mag go? Just gonna put 10 rounds in here, but I don't think I'll need 10. .20-round mags make good zeroing mags too, because they're not going to press against anything if you're on a bag or anything. So I do like using 20-round mags. This is a Lancer mag. They look cool. All right, that should get me at least significantly closer to my zero. Everyone's got their ears on. All right, we'll go take a look. It's very hard to see a red target on a bright orange circle. This is just me giving excuses right now, but we should be somewhat close. So we are closer. This one I think I threw, and I think we're gonna go, let's see, I moved 4 clicks left. I'm gonna go 1 click right, and I'm gonna stay on there. So I'm gonna go 1 click right and we'll see. But we're getting close. It's funny because my iron sights were more accurate than my red dot, but I think with my eyes, it's hard to see a red dot on a bright orange circle. So sometimes changing the color of what you're aiming at could make it easier on yourself, because I don't think I'm a terrible shot. I mean, that's a group, that's a group. Those are pretty close, but yeah, just my red dot, it kind of covers this. And again, my eyes aren't the greatest, but red on orange is a little bit tougher. Again, excuses, but it's gonna be zeroed. We're gonna hit 100 yards. All right, so we're just gonna move 1 click right. And I couldn't feel that one as well. All right, I'm pretty sure I moved it 1 click right. They're very faint, so you gotta focus on that. All right, 2 more rounds. Go take a look. All right, so you see, my grouping is not the greatest right this second, and I think it's gonna be accurate enough for what I'm trying to do right now, but I would say if you can strive for perfection, that's always the best thing, but my eyes just aren't doing it right now, or my trigger control is not doing it, because those are they're getting a little bit wider than I'd like. But again, I mean, this was the BCM with just iron sights, so that's not bad. This was this tri-arc BCM build with just iron sights. So me with the red dot, I'm doing worse with the red dot right now than I was with the iron sights. But it's still gonna hit that 100-yard target, no problem. And yeah, on a different day, I mean, sometimes you just have those days where your skill goes down or whatnot, but you can always re-zero it later. I keep this paper for my records, but that doesn't mean I'm never gonna zero it again. I'll probably re-zero it later on. But yeah, let's shoot 100 yards with it. All right, I'm gonna stand up and shoot 100 yards just to show myself that I can be accurate with this gun. Got the target way out there. Went just above it. Hit. 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 Just below. All right, so that was what, 4 out of 6? But you see, the gun is accurate enough, it's just kind of on the shooter at that point. But this is something you build up over time, and you'll get better the more you do it. And I feel like I'm always getting better, but then there's those days that remind me that I still have a lot to learn. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys on how to get your gun zeroed, or at least get it, you know, on paper. It may not be the perfect zero, but you will get better over time. Just practice with it. You don't have to pay someone to zero for you. I showed you, you can do it in less than 2 boxes of ammo. Took 18 rounds to zero 2 sets of iron sights. So yeah, just go to the range, shoot. The more you shoot, the better you're gonna get. And it's a lot of fun to pick up these skills over time. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for my next video.